Hello, good morning. You're welcome to Business Time. My name is Kemini. Today on the program, we'll bring you the major stories that made rounds over the week, some commodities and forex activities as well, which occurred over the week, and then we'll bring you that one topical conversation. Today, we'll be discussing job creation and entrepreneurship in general. Do stay. After years of serving you with the best in business and financial stories, Business and Financial Times comes to you 5 times in a week with the introduction of the Thursday edition. Your credible and trusted source of relevant business information will, from Monday to Friday, that is 5 times a week, continue to bring you all the information you need in business, the economy, real estate, maritime, sports and entertainment. Business and Financial Times, Africa's leading provider of credible business information. Welcome back. I do appreciate you staying with us here on Business Time. My name is Kemini Amano. Now let's check out news that made rounds over the week. Chief Executive Officer of Delex Finance and Leasing Company, Ken Thompson, has called on Dr. Abdul Nashiru, the newly appointed governor of the Bank of Ghana, to resist the temptation of giving government overdrafts. According to him, Dr. Isahaku must help save the government from itself and ensure that government only spends within budget, especially as the nation readies up for elections later in the year. The bills of mobile phone consumers have soared since the beginning of this year as network operators in the country have hiked their charges by 15% on average to reflect the increase in cost of doing business in Ghana. The quantum of increment seen in the mobile space so far this year is the highest since 2006 and comes on the back of recent increases in utility and fuel costs, as well as the implementation of new taxes. A $1.5 billion coal power plant to be built at Ikumfi Abuano in the Ikumfi district of the central region is expected to commence the second quarter of this year. The 2,000 megawatt power plant project undertaken by the Volta River Authority and China's Shenzhen Company Corporation with a capital outlay from the China African Development Fund will also have a harbor to import coal from South Africa and Colombia. Coordinator of the Third World Network Africa, Dr. Yael Graham, says the development agreement between the government and Goldfields Limited is illegal and has challenged government and parliament to make full disclosure of the details of the contract agreement to the public. Dr. Graham says government needs to show justification which is consistent with Article 49, which provides the framework that provides that the agreement can be justified as a development agreement. You're welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us here on Business Time. Today, we'll focus on job creation and entrepreneurship. So if you intend to start a business, this is not a conversation you should miss before you take that very important step of going out alone. We'll have this conversation with founder and principal of Alldens Lane, a business consult firm which focuses on women advancement as far as the business world is concerned. Ms. Ruka Sanusi is our guest today on Business Time. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kemini. Lovely to be here.
Absolutely, and we're glad to have you. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you. So do you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So do you.
Essentially, we've seen over the years, we've seen the unemployment rate in Ghana reduce. But at the same time, we have a number of graduates come out and cry for employment. And at the same time, again, we have those who also come out and then are able to do really important things. They're able to have startups that end up, impacting, employing other young people.
Yes.
What is it that could be missing for those who are not able to do what their colleagues do?
Well, I think, you have 2 categories of people. That they all go to university, but one category will say, I want to go into formal employment. I want to be employed by somebody. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be, a public servant, whatever it is. And there'll be another category who says, you know what, it's great. I've got my degree, I've got my foundation, my academic background, but really this is, I want to go into business and this is, what I want to do. Unfortunately, for those who want to go into formal employment, the demand for employment always exceeded by supply, right? So there are more people who want jobs, right, than we have jobs. And especially with the very good companies and organizations. And, that brings in the issue of unemployment. And then what happens is that the employers and the organizations that will offer good jobs, they're looking for particular skills in people, whether that's commercial acumen, whether that's discipline, whether that's attention to detail, whether that's ability to be able to to sell or to maybe be technologically savvy, to be creative and to be to be intellectually curious. So there are many drivers of ability to actually be employed. And likewise, for those who also want to be entrepreneurs, you find that being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's not as easy as it may sound. And these days, I'm amazed as I am kind of like inspired by the number of people that actually want to be an entrepreneur. But I always say, just like the lawyer or the doctor or the accountant, you go to university, you get your degree, and then you go through training. The entrepreneur also needs to realize that they need to do something like that as well. And Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to build a huge, successful brand out of your business immediately. It's going to take a couple of things to actually get you where you need to get to.
Do young people need a special kind of education to become entrepreneurs? I'm asking because a lot of times you hear the stories of these young entrepreneurs. They probably trained abroad, and then they came back and they decided to start up something. Do you need a special kind of education?
To be honest, I'm not sure that you do. I think you need a special kind of experience. If you think about some of the people in Ghana or in Nigeria or in other parts of Africa that are really successful entrepreneurs, I don't think they had a special kind of education. But I think they had something in them. There was a spirit in them, an entrepreneurial spirit in them that was able to, that led and guided them. I was reading about Prince Amabeng the other day and how he left the defense sector to do what we now, he's retired from UT now from what I understand, was to set up that business. There was something that was driving him. Many successful entrepreneurs will say that, okay, well, maybe we were poor and that was the driver. I didn't want to be poor. For somebody else, like some of the big names that we know, global big names that we know that are successful entrepreneurs, they didn't want to be stifled by an academic institution. They were so curious. They were so curious and so creative, so thoughtful with an idea that, they said, Harvard, MIT, it's okay. I know what I want to do with my life, and it's not sitting in the four walls of an institution. So I'm not sure that it's about a special kind of education. Education is good in that it allows you to think a certain way, hopefully to think laterally, to think outside of the box. It allows you to be disciplined. It makes you disciplined. You have to go to classes, you have to study, you have to interact with, with people. These are skills that you need in their life skills, but also in entrepreneurship. So it's much more with what you do with your time in an academic institution, how you interact with people, the questions you ask, not just regurgitating what you've been told or lectured to, thinking, what does that mean? Picking skills, knowledge, insight from a whole range of situations. And I think,
how do you find your spot in all of that? Because a lot of, in this new wave of entrepreneurs that are coming up, how do you find your spot there?
Entrepreneurship is about identifying an opportunity. And even as you've identified it, having a very unique way of positioning that product and or service, a very unique way of presenting it to the world, a very unique way of delivering your service, okay? So you may say, for instance, oh, I love baking. right? As a woman entrepreneur, I love baking. People tell me that I'm really good. My cakes, my cookies are excellent. They're delicious. They're nothing like it. The mixture, carrot cookies, stem ginger cookies, all of that. So you think, okay, why don't I just leave this job working at wherever and focus on this? But that is not enough. Yes, there may be an opportunity for you to be a first class, bakery and cafe in Accra, or Lagos, wherever that may be. But I think the real issue is, think about who you're selling to, right? Are you going to make stem ginger cookies for the masses and charge them for, a box of 6 cookies, 30 CDs? No, that's not for the masses. If you want to, the people that you're targeting, the product that you have, right? Is it for the masses? Is it for a particular type of people? And that drives a lot of things. What do you want to achieve with your cookies? Is it just to give people just eat cookies, or to give them an experience of what it is?
Will that be what would probably call thinking outside the box? Because absolutely. I hear that a lot.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, what is the box itself that I'm supposed to think outside of?
The box is the status quo. Okay, the status quo is that in the case of the person making, who wants to bake, the status quo is that, I love baking, right? So if you're going to work within the box, you bake cookies, you bake cakes, and you sell it to your friends and family and colleagues, and you do what comes easy. But the extraordinary, right? That is what I described before was the ordinary. The extraordinary baker thinks, I want to show Ghanaians, I want to show, Americans or whatever, a different experience of baking. I want to, use unique ingredients, mix unique ingredients, come up with a first-class premium product that people have never tasted before. I not only want to do that, but in 2-3 years' time, I want to have my own cafe. People can come in, have their cakes, their cookies, their whatever, and perhaps there's a little area where they can read, there's soft music. We even have a book club. We're discussing books whilst we're eating cakes and drinking coffee. And then you say, okay, the vision is in 10 years' time or 5 years' time, I want to have my own institution where I actually teach people how to bake in a particular way, to be creative with their baking. So then you're thinking outside of the box. You're thinking laterally. You've thought about your clientele. You thought about even issues of the kind of support system that you need. If you want to give people an experience, your staff have to understand what an experience is. I won't just come into your cafe and find that staff are standing in the corner with their arms folded, looking bored. No, you want people who are enthusiastic about what it is that you do. If I see your menu and I see stem ginger and carrot cookies, and I ask one of your staff, I actually have a dairy allergy. I'm allergic to nuts. Do these cookies have nuts in them? Your staff should be able to tell me that.
A lot of times they don't know.
Because they're not thinking outside of the box.
A lot of times they don't know.
And because you haven't brought yourself up in a particular way. So even you, in that instance, you're thinking within, you're restricted by the box. Yeah.
So, let's just say you found the plan.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges? I mean, you left well-paying job to set up the Alldens Lane.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you think that you face that young people could brace themselves for, or they could, find ways of insulating themselves against those?
I think that's an excellent question, and it's an excellent question because we live in a microwave society. We want success really quickly. Anything that we do, anything that we're doing, it's got to be big, it's got to be successful within the shortest possible time. But real life is not like that. And that's the first lesson. That, you build knowledge, you grow wisdom, and that allows you to come up with continuously, over many years, many decades, better and better products and or services. Unilever today are not producing the same things, the same products with the same ingredients as they were when they were perhaps Lever Brothers or UAC. they've evolved with the times, right, with the new category of clientele. And I think young people, they really need to understand that life takes time. It takes experience. It takes knowledge. It takes patience. It takes discipline. But most of all, it takes you really having a very strong vision for what you want for your life, either as somebody that's an entrepreneur or you're working within an institution. And even if you're working in an institution, if you want to get to management or to be a director or whatever it is, you have to prove yourself. Same thing in entrepreneurship. Look at the example that I gave you. If you want to, if you're a baker or whatever, you love baking, you have a choice of just making cakes every weekend and, selling them any which way, or giving people an experience like they've never had before with your range of products.
You shouldn't just switch off. For instance, there are a lot of people who have jobs and then they just get up one day and quit and start up a business, hoping that in the next 3 months they'll make some profits.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I don't think so.
Because profits will take time to come.
The reality is, just like you said, profits will take time to come. And if you think about it, even in the workplace, you start somewhere, and maybe you have, annual increments. If you're appraised to be a good worker, and then you grow, you become an assistant manager, and then senior manager, and whatever it is. It's the same thing even in entrepreneurship. It's unrealistic to think you're going to be an overnight success. And by the way, the notion of the overnight success, it's what you and I see as an overnight success probably takes an entrepreneur 5-7 years of them building their brand, having a small business, instilling certain values and ethics in their staff, being very engaged with their clients, all of those things. And then suddenly somebody's writing about them.
And then we like the success story instead of how the person got there.
Absolutely.
We'll come back and then talk about the fact that a lot of people are now understanding, a lot of young people are understanding the need for startups, the need to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a lot of startups crash than survive.
Yeah.
We want to find out why it is so. That's a conversation we want to have when we come back with Ms. Sanusi of Alldens Lane. Don't go away.
Suavemente, bésame, que quiero sentir tus labios besándome.
Giant Malt is a non-alcoholic beverage which contains minerals and vitamins that gives you energy and power to keep you moving. Giant Malt brings out the giant in you.
So if you've been checking the statistics, then you know that although we have been told that the unemployment rate is reduced, the number of job vacancies traditionally that exist have also come down drastically over the years since 2010. And so it should tell you that, well, unemployment rate may be slowing down, but the number of jobs that exist traditionally for you to go and apply to have reduced. It means that you need to set up something for yourself. You need to do something for yourself. Jobs have now become DIYs, do it yourself, sort of. But let's find out. Does every entrepreneur need to make profit? Are you supposed to be selling something all the time?
I think I do agree that every entrepreneur needs to make profit. Because otherwise, you're loss making. Even when you're breaking even, you don't have the money or the resources to reinvest so that you can even grow your operations. But I think what we're getting at is the notion of the social entrepreneur, where you have somebody that's engaged in an enterprise, but it's for a social good. So, for instance, in many ways, some may say that, providing mentorship and coaching to women entrepreneurs is a social enterprise, because it's an enterprise, but where it's for a social good. Because women traditionally perhaps have not really been engaged. Well, we've had, particularly in West Africa, we have women that are like market traders in Nigeria. You have the women at in Isaleko, and here with the Makala women, and they in Togo, the Nana Benzes, really women who are very successful entrepreneurs, so to speak. But I think really now with the onset also of the internet, we're hearing more about women, or entrepreneurship in general, but also about women entrepreneurs, who are doing great things. But the thing is, the difference is that many of these are professional women entrepreneurs, women who are well educated, they've been to university, they may even have a master's degree, and they've worked with a national or international corporation, and they want to work for themselves as an entrepreneur, right? And then they may decide, because really the difference is, men and women are created differently, and they think differently, and they do business differently. A lot of the time, when a woman starts a business, a lot of the time, it's because she has a passion for something. Okay. One of the things that I really love, and I've worked in the last 22 years, is management consulting. I love helping organizations and people within them to become effective. I find it very engaging. I like looking at a problem and trying to work, find a solution, right? So therefore, I'm now thinking, okay, but a lot of women out there, who somebody may be an HR consultant, or somebody who's worked with a corporation, and she now wants to start her own business as a florist because she has this floral passion, but they have no knowledge or skills in how to manage a business, how to operate a business.
What role would a professional play in the life of a startup, an entrepreneur?
What role would the professional
play? For instance,
yes.
A mentor, someone you look up to.
Yes.
How important is that? That role?
I think mentorship is key. I have many mentors. One, somebody that I follow. She doesn't know me. I don't know her. I know her, but she doesn't know me. But I follow her. One of my mentors is somebody, Oprah Winfrey, because I think she's done phenomenally well. And there's a lot we can learn from her story. But then you also have mentors that perhaps maybe you meet with once a month or once a quarter or whatever it is. The good thing about mentors is that they have done similar things to you, to what you are trying to do, and their role is to literally guide you, right? Because perhaps they've experienced what you're experiencing today 10, 15 years ago. And I think that is really, really important. It's key. Mentorship allows you to steer clear of certain mistakes that you probably would have made if you did not have a mentor, somebody to guide you along the way.
Ruka, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We've been talking to Ruka Sanusi. She's founder and principal of Alldens Lane Business. It's a business consultant firm which focuses on the advancement of women in the world of business. If you'd want to get in touch with Alldens Lane, you can reach them on their social media or get in touch with Business Time. Would help you get in touch with Alldens Lane. In the meantime, here on Business Time, there is still room for us to go onto the commodities and forex market, check out activities that went down over the week. To stay.
Suavemente, bésame, que quiero sentir tus labios besándome.
Giant Malt is a non-alcoholic beverage which contains minerals and vitamins that gives you energy and power to keep you moving. Giant Malt brings out the giant in you.
hope you have enjoyed the conversation we've had with Ms. Sanusi, who's founder of Alldens Lane Business Consult. If you have any questions, you can reach her on her social media page or that of the companies as well, or get in touch with us here at Business Time. We'll be glad to connect you with Alldens Lane Business Consult. In the meantime, let's check out activities over the week as far as the commodities and forex markets are concerned. So there you have it, activities on the commodities and forex market over the week. I hope you picked up your pointers for the next week. But that's it for our program today. We'll see you same time next week. Don't forget that Business Time is brought to you in association with Giant Foods and Lily. Hey. Oh my goodness. So there you have it, activities over the week as far as the commodities and forex markets are concerned. I hope you have picked your pointers for what activities could look like next week. But that's it for our program this week. We'll see you same time next week. But don't forget, the Business Time is brought to you in association with Lily Foods and Giant Mall, definitely powered by the Business and Financial Times newspaper. And remember that from April, we'll give you the goodness of Africa's credible provider of business information throughout the week from Monday to Friday. My name is Kemini. I'm Goodbye.